Hey guys, it's Omer from MMOs.com. I'm doing another quick weekly news recap of all major MMO news and announcements for the week ending May 30th, 2016. Happy Memorial Day to all. This is episode number 45 of the recap, and the first bit of news this week is from Daybreak Games regarding Landmark. The news is that Landmark is finally launching for realsies this time on June 10th for $9.99. I say finally because Landmark has been in early access for 2 years now and has undergone a lot of changes. In fact, it was originally supposed to be the sandbox aspect of EverQuest Next, but since EverQuest Next was axed, Landmark became its own thing. Not sure if anyone is still excited about the game, I'm not, but it's launching on June 10th. The only thing I was kind of excited about was the potential integration between EverQuest Next, but now that's not going to be a thing anymore, so it gets a meh from me for now. Next up, some pretty big news for Funcom, the company behind Age of Conan, The Secret World, Anarchy Online, and several other titles. They recently received a new $6.3 million investment, which will stave off bankruptcy for the time being. We discussed Funcom's financial woes in previous news recaps, as well as the MMOs.com podcast, so I'm happy to announce that things should be okay for the time being. Still, the company does need their next game, Conan Exiles, to do well if they expect to remain financially viable. But this is still a huge positive for Funcom, so it means they'll keep going. Up next, some trouble in paradise for Tree of Savior. It looks like they're actually closing off registration for new downloads for Tree of Savior until they can fix their server lag issues. So they're effectively temporarily restricting new players from downloading the game. However, players that already have the game downloaded can still access it. They plan to reverse course and open the game up for everyone as soon as they can get server stability down. The reason they're doing this is because when new players play the game and it's incredibly laggy and it's unstable, it turns them off from the game, so they figured they might as well turn it off for now. But what's ridiculous is that so many games have had this issue. Like, why can't games figure out the launch process? I mean, have the extra server capacity, have it figured out. The game already launched in Korea, it had beta in Japan. They had so much time to figure this out, so it seems very odd that they ran into the same problems that countless other games have already had. But it's gotten so bad that they're actually turning off new downloads, which is insane. We'll see when they turn them back on, though. Also, in vaguely related troubling MMO news, Darkfall Unholy Wars goes offline indefinitely. Aventurine, the company behind the game, announced that they'll be taking the game servers down due to conditions in Greece. That was their reasoning. However, they've been having financial troubles before this, so it seems like the Greece financial crisis seems to be a very broad excuse. As according to one Reddit user, they were having trouble paying their staff 6 months ago as well. The game isn't dead forever, it's just indefinitely, so it's not a good sign, but they didn't completely give up on it yet, so maybe rest in pepperoni Darkfall. I should mention though, Darkfall New Dawn and Darkfall Rise of Aegon don't appear to be affected by what's going on with Unholy Wars, so those games are still a go, it looks like. Up next, in some more positive news, we have a brand new game called Absolver, which was just announced this week. It's a 3v3 online action RPG with no ranged weaponry, and will feature intense melee battles with 3-on-3 combat in both PvE and PvP settings. It sounds like a MOBA like Bloodline Champions, but there is PvE, so it's definitely not just a MOBA. It's more like an action RPG perhaps, like Path of Exile or Diablo. The Steam page for the game is already up. Unfortunately though, it'll be launching all the way in 2017 sometime for both PC and console. And given that it'll be on consoles, I suspect it'll be a buy-to-play title. Up next, we have some news for Overwatch. While we don't have any concrete numbers for the game just yet, it's off to quite a successful start based on what we've already seen, but in some places it's doing better than others. According to Game Metrics PC Bang rankings, Overwatch is currently the second most played game in South Korean PC Bangs. If you're not familiar with the term, PC Bang is a South Korean word for LAN cafes or internet cafes. Currently, the game is only being beaten by League of Legends, but taking the number 2 spot is definitely impressive. I've actually been playing a lot of Overwatch myself, and I'm really looking forward to the big update in late June because that's when Ranked will launch. So ranked queues, ranked games will begin in late June, and that's what I'm excited for. Moving right along, remember the update we talked about last week for Black Desert Online's Black Desert area? Apparently we were all JK about that because Black Desert Online's Valencia and Siege Mode updates are delayed. They were originally set to launch on June 1st, however they are delayed for unforeseen technical reasons. So you won't have Siege Wars or the new Valencia update for a bit. But there's more. According to a community manager at Dom Games, they said they won't be releasing the Awakening update for North American users / EU users anytime soon. So there's no release date on those, but they specifically said they won't be launching anytime soon. Moving right along, Trinium Wars officially goes free to play. I did a first look for this game a while ago. It was a buy to play sci-fi MMORPG that just did not bring a lot to the table. And I questioned what anybody would pay for it, and it looks like I was not the only one questioning that. The game is officially going free to play in order to attract a larger player base. In fact, the game's late game PvP called Resource Wars, it's a 1,000 player endgame PvP mode, and unfortunately as is, it's completely empty, so they hope to get more players this way. Unfortunately, even as a free-to-play title, I don't expect the game to do too well, but that's just my opinion. Next up, Chronicle Runescape Legends officially arrives on Steam. and it's currently getting about 1,000 concurrent users, which is not that great, but it's a game I actually strongly recommend. We got the full review up on MMOs.com, and our reviewer Mark actually liked the game quite a bit as well. Players can continue playing on the downloaded version from Jagex's website or on Steam, whichever one they prefer. The official launch also adds ranked seasons to the game for those who are itching to play a more competitive game. But yeah, it's worth checking out. Moving right along, Smite is launching on the PS4 on May 31st. No longer will PS4 users be jealous of their PC and Xbox brethren. The PS4 version will not require PlayStation Plus and have 60 FPS, which is always good. And even though I didn't think MOBAs would do particularly well on console, Smite is a MOBA which actually I think makes sense on console. It's more actiony. I couldn't imagine playing a game like League or Dota on console, but a game like Smite or Paragon, I think it makes sense. Next up, some news from Escape from Tarkov, the hardcore story-driven MMO, at least that's what it calls itself, released a 28-minute gameplay video, which you can see in the video playing in the background. The game builds itself as hardcore because if you die, you end up losing everything. Prior to this video, we didn't see any actual gameplay footage, and the game always sounded pretty ambitious because they had some RPG elements, leveling, and more. So it's good to see some actual gameplay footage, meaning the game is actually moving towards an eventual release. They're making progress. It will be a buy-to-play title though, one time with no microtransaction. And beta is set to begin later in 2016. Moving right along, and some not so positive news, Bless Online is already having server merges, and it's only going to leave 2 servers behind. The game still hasn't launched in the West, but apparently this highly anticipated defensive RPG is having a rough time in Korea, because again, server merges this early on is definitely not a good sign. It remains to be seen whether these server merges have any meaning to the upcoming international release. As is, there's no word on that just yet, so I still expect the game to launch internationally, but again, it's never a good sign to see the game doing poorly in its home country. Next up, in some more positive news, Kritika Online enters closed beta testing in Southeast Asia. No word on a Western release date just yet, but the game is making progress as an English release in Southeast Asia, which is good. Unfortunately, it will probably have IP blocks, so if you want to play on the Southeast Asian version, you might have to use a VPN, and we do have a guide for that on MMOs.com. The closed beta actually ended today, but it does show the game is making some progress towards release over there. The game actually looks a bit like Hero Wars, except with some more realistic graphics. I expect the first look for the game probably relatively soon because I can do a video for the Southeast Asian version too. The next and last bit of news this week comes from Asta Online. The news is that the game officially launched from open beta into full release. With the launch comes a big update called Myth 1 Wrath of Berserkers, which is actually set to launch tomorrow, and that introduces a new lolly race to the game with an exclusive Berserker class for the lolly race. Clearly lollies were meant to be Berserkers, that's what we're learning from this game. But yeah guys, that's it for MMO News for the week ending May 30th, 2016. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the podcast. Later guys.